Welcome to The Explainer, where we take these really complex topics and, well, we make them simple. And today, we're diving into the world of data storage. So let's just jump right in. Would you store ice cream in a filing cabinet? Of course not, right? It sounds completely absurd. But here's the thing. In the world of data, picking the wrong storage solution can make just as big of a mess for your whole strategy. You see, different kinds of data need different kinds of homes. So today, we're going to go on this kind of evolutionary journey. We'll look at the 5 key data storage solutions, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly where every single piece of your data should live. All right, let's start at the beginning with the classic, the foundation of business analytics. I'm talking about the data warehouse. The easiest way to think about a data warehouse is to picture a really, really well-organized library. I mean, meticulous. This is not the place for your messy, raw notes or random thoughts. Nope. This library is only for polished, finished books. We're talking clean, validated data that is absolutely ready for serious business intelligence and reporting. So, what's the secret sauce here? It all comes down to this one key idea: schema on write. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You have to build the shelves. You have to define that structure before a single book or piece of data can go on them. This rigidity, it might sound limiting, but back in the day, it was its superpower. It guaranteed that every single report was built on a foundation of trusted, consistent data. Okay, so what does this look like in the real world? Well, imagine a big retail company. They use a warehouse with a table just like this one to answer super important questions like, hey, what were our total sales in the Northeast last quarter? And because everything is already so perfectly structured, the answer comes back fast, and more importantly, you know you can trust it. But there was a problem. This perfect organized library, it was great for neat rows of numbers, but it completely hit a wall when the internet exploded. Suddenly, we had this flood of messy, unstructured data. We're talking photos, videos, social media rants, you name it. The library just wasn't built for that. A totally new problem needed a totally new solution. And that solution was, well, it was a complete 180 in thinking. It was time to build something new. Enter the data lake. So if the warehouse is a library, the data lake is, well, it's a massive reservoir. Its whole philosophy is basically store everything now and we'll figure out what it means later. You just dump it all in, structured, unstructured, sensor data, social media feeds, videos, everything. It's a cost-effective way to just hold on to it all. And how does this chaos even work? Through a concept that's the polar opposite of the warehouse: schema on read. Remember how the warehouse made you build the shelves first? Here, you don't. You just pour all the data in, raw and unfiltered. You only apply a structure, kind of like putting on a pair of glasses, when you're actually ready to read the data and ask a question. And let me tell you, for data scientists, this kind of flexibility is an absolute playground. So you can see the fundamental trade-off, right? The warehouse is all about order up front. You get clean, consistent data. The lake, on the other hand, embraces the chaos. It gives you incredible flexibility, letting you discover insights and answer questions you didn't even know you had when you first collected the data. Okay, so we've got this super organized but rigid warehouse on one side and the super flexible but kind of messy lake on the other. What do you think happened next? Yep, you guessed it. The next logical step in this whole evolution was to ask, can't we just combine them? And that brings us to the data lakehouse. This is the modern architecture that really tries to give us the best of both worlds. The big dream here is to have one single unified system that can do it all, powering your reliable everyday business dashboards and your cutting-edge experimental machine learning models. So how does it pull this off? Well, it uses this really clever multi-layered approach. All the raw, messy data first lands in what's called the bronze layer. Then it gets filtered and cleaned up in the silver layer. And finally, it's aggregated and polished into business-ready tables in the gold layer. It's kind of like having your raw lake and your pristine warehouse all connected in one seamless pipeline. Okay, so those are the big 3. But to really complete our data toolkit, we need to talk about 2 more specialized players that help the whole ecosystem just run better. First up is the data mart. Now, if the big data warehouse is the entire library, think of a data mart as just one specific bookshelf curated for one specific team. So the marketing team gets its own little mart with just the data they care about.
This makes their job way faster and easier because they're not digging through the entire company's financial data to find what they need. And then we have the operational database. This is the engine room. This is what's actually running the day-to-day business. When you make an ATM withdrawal or buy something online, this is the system that processes that transaction instantly. It is built for one thing: speed. It's not for looking back at history. It's all about what is happening right this second.
Okay, let's just lay it all out. When you look at them side by side, you see that each system is built for a very specific job. You need reliable backward-looking reports? That's your warehouse. You need to explore a mountain of raw data for your next big AI project? That's a lake. You want one system to try and do both? You're looking at a lakehouse. And to just run the business, moment to moment, you need that operational database.
So after all that, which one should you choose? Well, here's the key takeaway. There is no single best answer. It's the wrong question to ask. The smartest companies today don't just pick one. They build a whole toolbox, and they use a smart combination of all these systems, always picking the right tool for that specific job.
So there you have it. From the rigid, structured library of the warehouse to the boundless reservoir of the lake, all the way to the unified vision of the lakehouse, each one of these systems plays a crucial role. Look, understanding this stuff isn't just some boring technical exercise. It is the absolute first step to making sure your data can finally tell its story, clearly and powerfully.